See, the way I do my streams now is I start talking just
Mhm.
because before I announce it. So we are
Right.
live right now.
Yes.
So
Oh,
you're
we
aware.
are.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
so I have to stop talking shit about random American. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Understood.
We gotta be careful what we say from now on.
Right. Oh, but don't repeat what I said about Jim Healis. Just don't.
I
I mean,
I
I
will do
can't.
my
I
best.
can't increase that man's ego any further than it already is. Being Mister, health nut comic book creator. I can't do it.
This is Monkey in the Morning. I'm Monkey. He scribbles. Say hi, Scribe.
Hi, Scribe.
Jack should be along here shortly, guys. I should be in bed, but the fucking Russians ruined that for me.
Russian attack.
Damn Russians, man.
I know the Russians. Hey, I was saying today that there was I think it might be. I didn't know it at the time, but it's probably related to this story. The Biden White House put out some statements saying that we must oppose Russian disinformation, et cetera, and so forth. And I said, can we just have a dedicated federal day in September of a presidential cycle where we put up the barriers against Russian disinformation from the Democratic Party? Because that seems to be because every year it's like around September it's like, oh, look out everybody, Russian disinformation is coming, and then there's a laptop that shows up. So I was wondering if there's another laptop was showing up. I guess it's this though.
You know what was weird about this? Okay, for those of you who don't know, let's lay it out. Tenet
Yes.
Media, which is owned by Lauren Chen and her husband Liam Donovan,
Mm-hmm.
the backers of that are two Russians who were just indicted by the DOJ today for conspiracy to cause people to violate the Foreign Registration Act.
Yeah, not registering as foreign agents, also accused of money laundering.
Yep.
And Tenet Media. Now, the only reason that I had any idea what Tenet Media was is because last year or something, a YouTuber that I used to watch very regularly until he stopped making content on his channel, has completely moved over to Tenet Media, was Matt Christensen.
Sure,
And
yeah.
that is about the extent of my knowledge about Tenet Media, except some very peripheral things. And now only today with this indictment, because I don't watch Tim Pool, I don't watch Dave Rubin anymore. Like way back when, I don't think he was even on Tenet Media anymore. And Benny Johnson, I'm only aware of through Twitter. So most of this is just sort of abstract to me. But I listened to Matt Christensen talk about this, and I'm not quite sure how far this actually extends into manipulating media. That's my biggest wonderment.
That's the weird part about this. In this, I mean, it is a crime not to register as a foreign agent if you're acting on behalf of a foreign government or a foreign entity.
Right.
So there is a crime here.
Yes.
But they don't actually point to anything. They point to one time where the Russian, I can't say their name, so I'm not even going to try. So we'll call them Russian 1 and Russian 2, and I'll mix that up as well.
Sure.
But
Boris and Natasha.
Boris and Natasha, there you go.
Yeah.
They point to where Natasha wants a certain spin on a terrorist attack that happened in Moscow, which ISIS claimed credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted them to blame it on the Ukrainians. And they say that commenter, I forget which one, I think it was commenter 3, which if I have deduced this properly is Dave Rubin.
Mm-hmm.
That he was willing to go along with it, but they don't actually point to anything where it happened. They don't point to anywhere where Russian influence pushed any stories.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that I was. So for those of you that don't know, right now I think still maybe Matt Christensen was doing a live stream talking about this because he was, as he said, completely surprised by this earlier today because he had no idea it was coming. And
hold that thought, just for the record, the people who work over there, Lauren and her husband run it. Then Lauren Southern, Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Matt Christensen, Tyler something. And Benny Johnson are the people who make videos for it. So
So the big question here is for me, just as a casual observer, is and the very thing that Matt Christensen brings up in his live stream is the question is, was he ever directed? And this is just Matt Christensen's perspective. We don't know about anybody else. Matt Christensen says, was he ever directed by anybody at Tenet Media to say this thing or push this story or anything else? Mm-hmm. Now, I've watched Matt Christensen for years up until the point where he left for Tenet Media. And I always found him to be very pragmatic, very smart, very opinionated, and didn't come across to me as someone who would take someone telling him what to say lightly. So now I only have my feelings about this person on sort of a parasocial way of knowing, but it does seem to me that if Tenet Media, especially all the personalities there and how strident they are in their beliefs most of the times, if there was a culture of being told or handed copy to read, I have a feeling that most of the people there probably would not have stayed on or would have said something after they quit. And this would have been a pretty open secret a lot earlier than this. So as far as the disinformation accusation is concerned, is there any proof that people were directed to push a message?
Real quick, Snubber, thank you. Unrelated, but Internet Archive lost its appeal today. It's Supreme Court or bust. Sucks because they have a lot of old video games archived.
That's true.
Yeah, but they're also quite clearly in violation of copyright.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. They provide a great service in a lot of ways, but then they have a whole ton of stuff open to the public that they shouldn't. And that's, yeah.
Understatement says, sounds like your money in politics argument, Monk. Are people just paid to say what they already think? Here's the thing, okay? There's several things that are true at the same time here. I agree with you. Again, the indictment doesn't even point to a place where they said this happened. The Russians pushed this, but the Russians were trying to, and they did get Lauren Chen, not Lauren Southern. They got Lauren Chen to give them complete control over their Twitter.
Right.
So the Twitter feed from Tenet Media has been being run by the Russians for months.
Now real quick, I just want to ask if you know or anybody in the chat knows, is all of Tenet's content on YouTube generated by their star commentators, or are there other like independent editorials they put out that could be suspect that are separate from the individual personalities?
From what I've seen, it's from the personalities, but the Russians were doing some of the editing for them.
Ah, okay.
So some of the one chick was doing, or I don't know, they're Russian. I don't know if their names are male or female. Notorious. Fuck me. I should be asleep, people.
Boris and Natasha.
Boris and Natasha. I forgot what my point even was. Okay. I'm so fucking tired, man.
Well, so so money laundering, influence peddling, not registering as a foreign agent. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, because like I say, given their personalities, like Matt Christensen, Tim Pool, if they knew they were being handed copy and they were being made to push it, I doubt either one of them would have kept silent about that. I mean, Tim Pool and Matt Christensen, for everything else that they either may be one or the other, doesn't sound like that would work, but maybe Tim Pool's sketchy on that. I don't know.
We'll get to that real quick. Okay. Yarkoon says, I have a birthday for you. My son was born last Friday, and he's been in the NICU since.
Oh, my God.
He had to be born through an emergency C-section. Mom and baby are doing great.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he's probably in there as a precaution, so that's awesome. Sure. I'm going to call him Baby Yar for the song, okay? Baby Yar, welcome to the world. Hope you like what we've done with it. This one's for you. And a 1 and a 2. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, baby Yar. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, little man. I really do hope you get better quickly and get out in the world and terrorize your mom and dad. Dixie, thank you so much for becoming a month 13 subscriber here. Thank you.
13. That's a baker's dozen.
That is indeed. It is indeed. Okay.
You had a couple of super chats above that, though.
What's that?
You got a couple super chats above that though.
Oh, geez, I never even saw those one come through. Angelverse, thank you, says, hey, Scribe and Monkey, hello.
Angelverse.
And Professor Chaos, thank you. Matt just live streamed and said that he retained complete editorial control of his content.
Yeah.
And again, that seems to be the case that we're hearing, is that there's nothing showing that these people were swayed in any of their thing. Now, this is going from Christensen. I haven't seen anything from like even Tim Pool. You guys know I think very low of that man. I can't point to anything these guys have been doing, and neither could the DOJ, that suggests that they were pushing Russian propaganda, which is why they're probably not being charged with anything.
Yeah, so far it seems as though it's been limited to the very top of the totem pole as far as the company's concerned. Seems.
However, it does seem at least Benny Johnson and Tim Pool, none of these people are named in the indictment. In the indictment, Lauren Chen is called Founder 1 and her husband is Founder 2. They reference her U.S. entity, which is Tenet Media, her Canadian company, which is Roaming Millennial Incorporated. They mention the 6 commentators is how they refer to the talent. Commentator 1 and 2, I believe, you have to kind of read between the lines. I know for a fact that it's Benny and Tim. I think Benny is commentator number 1 and Tim is commentator number 2.
And that's because of subscriber count that they've put on there. Yeah.
I know for a fact Matt Christensen is commentator number 6 because they do quote him from a video that he made.
Right.
And I went and found the video, and yeah, it was him. Number 4 is Lauren Southern, and I know that because they refer to that commentator as a she, and she's the only she in the group. Where Dave Rubin and the other guy fall, I'm guessing Dave Rubin is number 3 because they say commenters 1, 2, and 3. Between the 3 of them, they made $8.7 million off of this in about a year. Not bad money. And I doubt that guy that I can't even remember his name is one of the ones who was pulling the big money down. Keldrick, thank you. I've been arguing with gun grabbers all day. It's the usual school shooting rigmarole. And somehow in a conversation about gun control, Trump was brought up to somehow discredit me. It didn't. Have some money for your refreshing common sense. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Don't argue with gun grabbers. Most of them are dumb. Just saying. Yeah, for the talent, the worst that you can say about them, especially Benny Johnson and Tim Pool, is that they didn't care where the money came from. They just didn't give a shit.
Well, here's my question. Was it feasible for anybody in the talent pool, no pun intended, but I'll take it, to know about these, let's just call them the bad investors? Was there any reason that they would be told about it? And I'm asking sincerely. I don't know, because like the company I work for, if my boss suddenly got an infusion of capital into the company, he might tell us that he got some investment, but he might not like tell us the name, address, etc., and so forth of who it came from. And in my position, I might not be curious, not because I'm trying to avoid being associated with something bad, but just because it's just not my realm of business.
Oh, I get you. But if you look on the screen right now, this is from the indictment. Edward Gregorian.
Ooh, that sounds all like Eastern European fancy.
Sounds made up, doesn't it? This is the guy who was supposedly funding this. And commentator 1 and 2 asked about this guy.
Oh, okay.
Say, hey, who's funding this? And this is the page that was put together to send to these guys. And this was enough for them to go, oh, okay, he must be real. If you do a search for this guy, including a bank he supposedly worked for, his name won't come up.
See, I always get suspicious of pictures of people looking out the window of a private jet because I can't count how many times I've seen where it's like somebody just like rents a private jet for like an hour, does a photo shoot and walks away and then pretends like that's their life.
Yeah. I don't know how they fell for it, but here's the thing. I don't really care.
Mhm.
These guys, the worst thing they did was not give a shit where their money was coming from. And
Right.
that, as far as I know, is not a fucking crime.
Right.
If they were if they thought it was coming from crack and they were like, I don't care, then that's a little different story.
Mhm.
But you can't point to anything that they did that was Russian propaganda, and they weren't the one. Lauren Chen, on the other hand,
Yeah, there's not a lot of dodging on this. You took millions of dollars from people. You knew where they came from. You knew what the possibilities were. Yeah.
I don't know how she didn't get indicted in this.
That might be oncoming separately because they might go for the company first and then go for the leaders after.
Because again, the actual they're not the two Russians in here are charged with conspiracy to get others to violate the Foreign Registration Act,
Mhm.
which the others who would be in violation of that are not the talent because they had no idea.
Right.
It would be Lauren and her husband who absolutely, according to this indictment and the um, included emails and text messages, knew that these were Russians, that they were working for the Russian government, and that's a crime.
Do they have to make a either prove or make a decent case against the company first to get past the insulation from the corporation before they can go
I
after the leaders? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm not a lawyer.
No, they shouldn't
Okay.
have to. Maybe they're doing that because they think it'll be a better thing. Maybe Lauren is cooperating and like, sure,
Mm,
I'll tell you what I know.
okay.
Who's saying they're Russian? The DOJ and them, actually, because they on their own social media and stuff, they say they work for RT, which is Russian Times, which is
Right.
Russian state media.
And they're the only individuals actually named in the indictment,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Everybody else has got a pseudonym of, commentator one or founder one or something.
Yep. In there you have founder one, commentator one, producer 1, 2, and 3. I think that's all the ones that and of course the companies, it's American company one and Canadian company one.
Right.
Yeah, only the two Russians and their aliases are mentioned.
So, as far as we can tell, except in like some Twitter sense,
Uh-huh.
maybe, there's not a whole lot of like propaganda influence peddling amongst the celebrities involved. It's
No.
just some really sketchy stuff and illegal stuff taking place at the top as far as the financing and registering as a foreign actor or whatever.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Um
Okay. So is it so? I guess the grand scheme is aside from some financial shenanigans, is this much ado about nothing when it comes to a Russian disinformation headline?
um no,
Okay.
because of them getting control of the Tenet Media Twitter.
Well, okay, okay, legit. The Twitter part is that's
That's why I
completely
said
suspect. Yeah.
there's actually two separate issues here. There's the talent, who again, no, I don't think they had anything to do with this. I don't think they broke any laws. Worst you can say is they didn't care where their money came from. And Benny Johnson and Tim Pool, fuck both of you little pieces of shit for literally calling yourselves victims.
Yeah.
You made millions of dollars. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there's no there nothing you found out about this like today and
Yeah.
nothing happened to you. You're not being arrested or anything else. You're just named in information. Now, as far as the Twitter account, I've never looked at the Tenet Media account before. It's got less than 50,000 followers.
Yep.
And
Well,
engagement on these things is not exactly gangbusters. So eh.
real quick, ham and beans, thank you. But the DOJ will never touch APAC. They would if people were not registering as foreign agents and being paid that way. Yes, they
Yeah.
absolutely. You said you were watching Matt Christensen. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know the guy he was talking to today, but they were pointing
No.
out Matt Christensen over on Tenet Media wasn't doing very well, especially compared to his normal numbers.
I know, and that was the weird thing when he decided to move over. Oops, sorry, hold on a second. I'm getting a phone call. Sorry. No, when he moved over, I thought this is a dumb move. You're getting a whole bunch of. I was watching his numbers go up over time because he was such a great commentator, insightful stuff. Really,
I love Matt.
Really,
Matt.
Yeah, he's great stuff. And when he announced like I'm going over to 10, I'm like, isn't that? I thought that was a bad move. I thought he was cultivating a community there, and if you go over here, you're going to dilute your attention, everything. And honestly, after he stopped uploading to his own channel, I basically never saw him again because Tenet Media had all these other people I didn't recognize, and I was like, I don't want to have to sift through a whole bunch of other people's stuff to find Matt's things, and so.
Toasted, thank you. Heard rumors Nick paid by Russians to turn on Trump. Are you talking about Fuentes? Fuentes is just saying whatever he can to try to remain relevant, what little relevancy he has left. Russians don't need to pay that retard. But I wanted to go back to this because I don't remember what part of this is it that it's in. But remember I mentioned they don't actually point to anything where they can say that these guys were swayed in any way?
Right.
In the indictment, they charged that the Russians, they weren't looking to necessarily push anything specific, just to cause chaos in our system by having people argue, basically.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say like, okay, we're not going to influence. We're going to bring up the specter of a poison pill in different media places because if you take our money, then everything becomes suspect. And I mean, it's sort of in a 4D chess kind of way. I suppose I could see how you could make that case.
I hear you, but I mean, if it's the stuff that we're arguing about anyway.
Well, that's always and this is the thing that's always kind of
there's the one.
Maybe this has always bewildered me about the whole Russian disinformation thing and interfering in our elections and stuff. You know, if you want to cause chaos in an American election, you're pushing at an open door. We're already at each other's throats half the time anyway. It's become more pronounced because of social media in the last several years, but it's effectively no different than it's always been here. So I really never understand what it was like. Oh yeah, we have to fear Russian disinformation. Like the political parties put out enough disinformation as it is on their own without Russian money or influence. The media does it on their own without any Russian money or influence, whether they take it or not. And if they do, they're getting, as you said earlier, they're getting paid to do what they would have done anyway. So what?
Well, listen to this part. It says many of the videos published by U.S. Company One, that's Tenet Media, contain commentary on events and issues in the United States, such as immigration, inflation, and other topics related to domestic and foreign policy. Now, this is the part that gets me. While the views expressed in the videos are not uniform, the subject matter and content of the videos are often consistent with the government of Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic division in order to weaken U.S. opposition to core government of Russia interest, such as its ongoing war in Ukraine.
Well, they're failing.
Basically, there's no uniform. We can't actually point to where this changed anything or that the Russians were actually, they just wanted to cause the chaos that was already happening. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, and if you wanted to, if you wanted to add to the
$10 million,
yeah, you put $10 million into a YouTube network that a relatively small percentage of people actually pay attention to cause chaos on some grand scheme. Now, I guess the other question would be then, is this just one example of many that have yet to be unveiled? Maybe. And are there other things? I mean, is this just the first thing? If they get a hold of these two Russia Today guys, and is it like, oh well, do they have their fingers in any other pies? I guess that's the only thing, because otherwise, like you say, they're all this thing is saying is that they're taking part in what was taking place. Like if there was no Russian money at all, we'd be exactly where we are right now, politically, division-wise, and otherwise. It wouldn't change anything. So it's why bother? Why spend $10 million on Tenet Media?
You don't need to put this part in there to prove the crime, because the crime is money laundering,
right?
Which, by the way, they don't exactly explain. I mean, other than the fact that this was money moved around in shell corporations,
Yeah.
maybe.
What kind of dirt? What was dirty money from what in the first place? That's why. That's why it's
The Russian government. Yeah.
Oh, it was just Russian. So Russian money is just dirty in and of itself. I suppose that's true.
Snubber, thank you. Tinfoil hat theory. It's too positive Trump's way, so someone is playing games and Russia blaming is still semi-popular. No, look, it's not like the Russians are real smart about their propaganda to begin with. I mean, this is absolutely dumb. According to the indictment, Lauren Chen even brings up to the Russians, hey, the amount of money you're talking about being willing to pay these guys, we're not likely to recover that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, it's fine. No big deal. And this is when they're talking about paying, I think it's Benny Johnson, like $2 million a year.
Yeah, if somebody comes along and says, I'm going to give you $10 million, like, well, what's your expected return on this investment? Whatever. Like, no. Yeah. It's like, no, wait a second. No.
Yeah. Lauren could be in really big legal trouble here.
Yes. Yeah. She and her husband conceivably are the most at risk for something major happening to them. The talent, unless they had direct knowledge of it, and then somehow took part, that hasn't been yet revealed, individuals or otherwise. They just stuck their fingers in their ears and put their hands over their eyes if they knew anything at all and just moved on with their day.
Toasted, thank you. Happy Roaming is getting dunked. She's a grifter. I don't know why you'd call her a grifter.
Who's Happy Roaming?
He's saying he's happy that this is happening to Roaming.
Oh, Roaming Millennial. Sorry, Happy Roaming. Oh, I see. Sorry, pardon me. I thought Happy Roaming was the name of a YouTuber. Maybe
no. But if what this says is true, yeah, it's pretty fucking dirty.
Yeah, she's not in good shape unless she's got a whole bunch of information to trade for some kind of like leniency or some kind of insulation. I mean, maybe they brought this to the government in the first place. I'm wondering. Well, okay. I don't know if it says in here, but I'm wondering, like, when did this end up on the DOJ's radar in the first place? How did they become aware of this?
Yeah, it doesn't say anywhere in the indictment.
Right. Yeah.
Camel, thank you for becoming a member for month number 14. Boy, the Matt and I once made love super chat should be spicy this Saturday. Yeah. This Sunday. Matt did say something in his stream. Excuse me. And I asked him in chat. His chat moves very fast, so it's not like he was ignoring me. He probably didn't see it.
Sure. Right.
But he said, I don't feel duped. And my question was, wait, does that mean you knew where the money was coming from? Now, if he just thought he was signing up with a media company, look, a lot of people don't go digging into who this money's coming from. Like you said, like if your boss said, hey, we have a new investor, are you going to do a shit ton of research on the investor? Probably not.
I would trust that my boss would have been doing that. That's why he's accepted the money. So,
but we do know that Benny and Timmy were asking about this guy, so they can claim they were duped, still not victims,
right?
But it did make me wonder, and I hope he answers that question. Maybe it's in part of the stream that I didn't watch.
I kind of took it as he didn't feel like he was duped into a Russian propaganda machine. I think it's basically like, he and from what I understand, he had very, before he moved over to Tenet Media, very serious conversations and everything else. And there was no, we will pay you to say this thing kind of deal. So he didn't feel like he was being hoodwinked into becoming a Russian agent or like pushing a message.
And I get that. And if that is what he meant, then yeah, that makes sense. Again, though, his name was helped used to push Tenet Media, which at least their YouTube or their Twitter is entirely run by the Russians.
Well, I'll tell you what, Russian Today or whatever. if you're willing to shell out $10 million for a 45,000 follower Twitter account, I'm willing to, change my screen name to Scribbles and just hand you mine for like 2 million. I'm just saying.
Man.
I mean, I won't say anything on it. I'll let everybody know. I won't be under the covers thing. But geez, if you just want a middling Twitter account for a couple minutes, hell, I'm here for you.
Well, I saw Ashley St. Clair said to Benny Johnson, and she was being serious, not sarcastic. I'm so sorry this happened to you. It was like, dude, if somebody wants to give me $2 million of Russian money in a way that I can deny everything, please make me a fucking victim.
Yeah, if I was working for a company where I am completely held harmless from any wrongdoing because I was honestly unaware of what was going on and I just did my bit and I never had anybody come down and tell me what to do, and I made millions of dollars off of it, and then somebody says, oh, by the way, did you know the investor for your people were actually somebody lousy? And I'd be like, am I in some legal trouble? And they say no. Like, okay, well, I'll just go back. Cool. I'll go back to my own independent YouTube channel and probably do better off now. Because I can only imagine the next step for like Christensen and these other guys is just completely sever ties and go off and just, return to being independent YouTubers or whatever.
Benny Johnson and Timmy Pool both released statements. Last I saw, Dave Rubin had only retweeted Tim's.
And but I know Community Notes hit Benny Johnson's tweet already.
That's because his tweet's a fucking lie at the beginning of it.
Yes.
A statement on the leaked DOJ indictment today. That's the part that he got Community Noted on, because it wasn't a fucking leak. It was a press release.
Yeah, it was the DOJ putting it up on their website saying, here it is for public consumption. It wasn't like, ooh, somebody secretly handed it off on the shadows or something.
This leak. Which, by the way, Benny, just makes me think you knew. I'm sorry.
Well, that was the other thing, too, is that I didn't know the timing of this. So if it was leaked, it's like, so you had foreknowledge that this was coming? What?
He says, a year ago, a media startup pitched my company to provide content as an independent contractor. Our lawyer negotiated a standard arm's length deal, which was later terminated. We are disturbed by the allegations in today's indictment, which makes clear that myself and other influencers were victims in this alleged scheme. My lawyers will handle anyone who states or suggests otherwise.
Or suggests.
Sue me, pussy, I dare you.
So when was it terminated?
Hang on. That's my favorite thing, which was later terminated. All right. I want to show y'all something.
Yeah. If you terminated it, then you had some knowledge of what was going on, right?
This is Tenet Media. Their latest video 7 hours ago was from Benny Johnson.
Okay. Fair. Okay. But when was it produced versus when was it posted? Because if it was produced a week ago,
even if it was produced a week ago, you don't say it was later terminated the way he did to make it sound like it. Man, we only did that for like 2 months.
I know. I'm just being advocatus diaboli here. But yeah, the two things in that tweet that made me go, huh, was the leaked part and later terminated. So both of those things, at least between the lines, says that before this was made public, and like Matt Christensen said, he had absolutely no idea that any of this was going on until it popped up and everybody was like emailing him and calling him.
He said that he found out about it because media outlets, were asking him for comment on it.
Right. So I guess why did you, whenever you terminated this contract, when did that happen and why was it terminated? Because not saying that's like, well, you must have had cause to terminate the contract.
Oh shit! I was talking and I had muted myself to cough.
You did.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought that's what you're doing. I thought you were having a coughing fit.
The weird thing, because you said maybe this was produced a week ago. All right, let's pretend that that's the case. Except we know it probably isn't, because according to the indictment, the contracts that these guys negotiated kept all of their media owned by them.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's just that weird line, which was later term. I need to know timeline, like later when. So it happened a year ago. So sometime between a year ago and today.
If you're the talent, you do what Matt did. I didn't fucking know.
Yeah.
And these guys are like, I'm a victim, and I terminated that contract because reasons, and arm's length contract. Just you make yourself look guilty in this.
Yeah. Or at least very suspicious. At the very least. I mean, it's just a very suspicious way of framing it.
I didn't know about this shit. I'm not even implicated in the indictment, so I have really nothing to say about it.
Yeah, I was blindsided today by the news regarding the leadership at Tenet Media. We're still looking into this. There's nothing in the indictment that indicates that I or the other talent committed any wrongdoing, and we'll keep our eyes. I mean, that's all you have to say is that, like, dude, I'm completely surprised by this, which, you know, could be legit.
Terminated that contract. Shut up, bitch.
I terminated it. Well, I mean, if you terminated it after this came out, I'd be like, oh, okay. If you just found out today, oh, by the way, your bosses have been taking Russian money for the last whatever and doing this, that, and the other, like, okay, I have now parted ways with Tenet Media and I'll be going my own deal. That'd be fine. Like, okay, that'd be legit. If it's like you find out your girlfriend cheated on you, so I'm like, okay, we'll get out of the house, bitch.
I gotta be honest. I feel like when it comes to creators, their first instinct is to always just lie. When most of the how many times have you heard the expression? It's not the lie that gets you; it's the cover up.
Well, especially with the larger ones, when statements are made, I always feel like half of this is being filtered through some lawyer that you've hired.
Sure,
you know, like when Mr. Beast puts out a statement, I don't think this is coming from the true heart and hearth of Mr. Beast. This is something that's gone through about 2 or 3 different sets of hands and then posted, or someone that's been like absorbing this kind of language through diffusion over the last 24 hours as the crisis dropped down. So is this Benny Johnson talking, or is this Benny Johnson plus a lawyer sort of? Yeah. So, but yeah, the larger you are and if you have a team, it sounds faker as you go.
Chicago Mike, I'll get that 1 second, but I want to address this real quick. Someone could say they were a victim in the sense they didn't know and they were made to look complicit. Thank you, Devil's Advocate.
That is true.
And here's my thing with that. With somebody like Matt Christensen, sure. Yeah. With Benny and Timmy both asking about who the money was coming from and then not doing any follow-up on that, taking some obviously Photoshop fucking thing. Looks like it's a fake magazine that would be posted onto Twitter and be like, oh yeah, that's enough for me. If you cared enough to ask, why the fuck did you not care enough to go looking and find out that name never comes up in Twitter, Google, anywhere? It doesn't fucking exist. And what's even better is that oftentimes in the communications, often with the creators, the name is wrong. It's spelled wrong. Chicago Mike, let me get this. Thank you for month number 14. Hi, Monk, Jack, Scribe, and Chat. Just got here from watching the Cubs games. Cubs just no-hit the Pirates. Nice.
Wow. Go Cubs.
You watching in Wrigley? I don't know where they were playing today.
Yeah, that Giorgio ad or whatever. Yeah, it looked like that kind of thing you see in like inserted into a magazine with like very tiny print at the bottom that says paid advertisement.
Yeah, it looks fake. And if you're gonna go so far as to ask about it, I assume that means you actually care. Why didn't you do a Google search?
Yeah, I do that reflexively. I do that reflexively on things now that because I become so wary of when I see something on a Twitter post or whatever. Before I'll comment on it, I'll say, "Well, wait a second." Like in the school shooting today, right? As soon as one of these things happen, everybody's got their theories as to who, what, where, why, and how, and everything. And I used to see these things repeated. And I learned this lesson. There's an old man anecdote. I remember watching the coverage of the Oklahoma City bombing, like right after it happened, right? Okay, and so I'm watching a feed on my local like ABC affiliate, but it's piped in from the Oklahoma City ABC, whatever. And you got commentators talking over this footage of helicopter shot going around the building. And one of the guys says, you know, we're still looking into the possibility that this is likely foreign terrorism. And he said specifically is Islamic terrorism. And there's this hush that happens right then. There's this long pause, and then this guy's much cooler-headed partner on things says, "Well, we really need to not speculate right now."
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there as a teenager or whatever, like what was it, 12 years old, whatever the hell it was, and I was just like, yeah, my first thought was, what tells you that? And it just you have to wait and get information before you start and check things before you start making moves. And something like this, this is your business. If somebody says the money that the company is getting is coming from this guy, and it's like, well, the money coming from this guy is going to me. Why wouldn't you want to know, if you had any curiosity at all at that point, to find out who he is?
This is my point. If Lauren Chen came to me and said, hey, Frank, you want to come join Tenet Media with us? I would never think, hey, I wonder where the funding is coming from. I think, oh, Lauren has a company and she's put this together. These guys, though, did. And they asked the question and never followed up. That's the part that bothers me.
Yeah. If, like I say, if my boss says we got an infusion of capital and everything's doing this, that, and the other, I'd be like, okay, because I've put my faith into my boss. It's his business. He, I would assume, knows what he's doing, and he's done his due diligence. You know, it's that extension of faith into someone else's own interests. And so if Matt Christensen heard, oh, you know, Tenet Media just got a new investor, and if he's like, okay, and then never thought about it again, I wouldn't blame him, because that's Lauren Chen's job.
I wouldn't even have thought about an investor. I would have thought that she was planning on doing it based on ad revenue and selling sponsorships.
Sure, right.
That would have been my thought.
Yeah, because I mean, what kind of business are they in? They're in selling content, ad revenue through YouTube, super chats, merchandise, that kind of thing. That's where I assume most YouTube and content creator stuff comes from these days anyway, unless you've got like a named corporation to which you're an attachment to, which these guys weren't. So the responsibility for the creators only goes so far as their reasonable curiosity, if they had any at all. And Matt is like, I'm going to do my thing, and you guys handle the business because you hired me to make content, not run your business. Benny Johnson and Tim Pool had, some credit where credit's due. They had curiosity enough to ask a question, but then to not go any further, it's just kind of like, well, I guess that's okay. If they actually looked at that ad or anything else, they put them and just said, yeah, that looks fine.
Frank, thank you so much. Funny, this was released right after all the China spies in the Democratic Party became known. Did I miss a story about a bunch of spies being?
Yeah. So who's? Hold on a second, because there was a bunch of jokes about how this was like connected to Swalwell and Fang Fang.
Twisted. I sang to you on your birthday.
Yeah. So Kathy Hochul, governor of New York.
Oh, New York's governor.
Her deputy chief of staff is being investigated for being a China spy.
Shocking.
Yeah. Here, let me read the
real quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think that they dropped this because of that. If you wanted to say anything, it's just to push more of the narrative of Russian disinformation in the right-wing media. That I'd give you, but not because of this. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Scribe.
Yeah, so Linda Sun, ex-aide to New York governors Hochul and Cuomo, so she's been around a while, has been charged on multiple counts along with her husband. U.S. authorities say that she was charged with acting as a secret agent for the Chinese government by the United States authorities. Let's see, they're both naturalized citizens. The charged with violating, conspiring to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act via visa fraud, alien smuggling. This is the one that I'm really curious about. Alien smuggling and money laundering conspiracy, according to an unsealed copy of the 64-page indictment. Her 40-year-old husband, who was also charged with money laundering, conspiracy, and conspiracy to commit bank fraud, as well as misusing means of identification, according to prosecutors. So the alien smuggling part, I'm very curious about, but they don't say any more about the details on that. But she's been working in state government, U.S. state government, for about 15 years, holding positions in both Cuomo and Hochul's offices. So not looking good there.
Thank you so much, Michael. Sorry I'm late, lads. Is Matt Christensen a Russian op now? LOL. No, he's not. None of the creators have been implicated in any way of actually pushing Russian disinformation.
Yeah.
In fact, the part that we read from the very beginning of the indictment suggests that the Russians were basically paying them to do what they already were doing, which is stupid.
Yeah, effectively, they were dumping money into this company in an illegal fashion for no influence. Unless, save for the Twitter account, which they got. I mean, their big conquest was getting a hold of the Twitter account, which is just the stupidest thing ever. It's like you could with $10 million, you could buy with less than $10 million, you could buy enough bots to boost the algorithm on your Twitter account to get more than 50,000 followers. I mean, they don't have 50,000, but they have 47.5 thousand followers on that Twitter account. It's just, I mean, these might be the dumbest Russian agents. They might be Boris and Natasha.
Well, this is as close to they get as suggesting one of these guys did Russian propaganda. This is the story. The next day on or about March 23rd, whatever, privately messaged founder, that is founder one is Lauren Chen, on Discord asking that one of our creators record something about the Moscow terror attack. Despite public reporting that the foreign terrorist organization ISIS had claimed responsibility for the attack, the Russian requested that U.S. company one, that'd be Tenet Media, blame Ukraine and the United States, writing, quote, "I think we can focus on the Ukraine-U.S. angle, ... Too many dots there for an ellipse, by the way. The mainstream media has spread fake news that ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack, yet ISIS itself never made such a statement. All terrorists are now detained while they were headed to the border with Ukraine, what makes it even more suspicious why they would want to go to Ukraine to hide." That's what the Russians were. Hey, maybe we make this sound like it was the Ukrainians who did it. Founder one, Lauren responded that she would ask commentator 3, who I'm almost positive is Dave Rubin. And the next day confirmed that commentator 3 said he's happy to cover it. There you go. That's it.
That's as close as you get to somebody being influenced.
That's as close as you get. Yeah.
And again, it's like, and so whatever, I don't know if Dave Rubin or otherwise, but let's say that's true. Okay. Dave Rubin says this and what? Suddenly Joe Biden pulls out all funding for Ukraine?
I guess.
What is the calculus here? Seriously,
and again,
Dave Rubin. I mean, I like Dave Rubin in the past. Sometimes he's obnoxious. I haven't listened to him in years now, but still, it's like, if you walk down the street and ask 20 people who Dave Rubin is on YouTube, 20 people would say who? Like,
well, it is also possible that commentator 3 is that Tyler dude.
Never heard of him anyway.
Rubin are commentator 3 and 5, and I don't know which is which.
Okay.
Again, I'm going based on the monetary amount, where commentators 1, 2, and 3 made basically 87% of all the money. The other 3 split about $300,000, and Lauren and her husband made almost $800,000.
Why didn't Tenet Media hire us, Monkey? We did a talk show for 4 years.
I get accused of being a Russian agent often when I talk about the war. I think it's that I follow that up with "fuck Russia." is probably why I didn't get.
Oh well, yeah. That might be right. Yeah, Tenet might not like that. Yeah, if you say that, that's true.
The fourth, thank you so much. So YouTube will email me about yesterday's live stream, but won't tell me when you're online. New management sucks. Back to the beginning. Thank you so much for the donation and enjoy.
Naomi Boyd in the chat says, "Is Russian propaganda illegal?" No, it in of itself is not illegal. The question here is that do you have foreign influence pushing money into something without, because if you are a foreign actor and you're bringing in a lot of money to invest in something, you have to let the government know about that. You can't do it under the cover, so to speak.
If you're an actual foreign actor, you have to register, and if you're acting on behalf of a foreign actor, you have to.
Right. Yeah. So if you're representing a foreign government and you try
Yeah.
to use money to influence something without alerting the U.S. government, like if it's known that you accept Russian money from a registered Russian agent and this money comes directly from the Russian government, as long as everybody knows that up front, so that there's no confusion over where this information is coming from or who's pulling your strings, that's legal and everybody can judge it on that basis. But if you're not alerting that, that's where we hit a problem.
Yeah, it's just a way for us to at least know what's going on.
Yeah.
And we're not the only country that does this. It's pretty standard these days.
It's like Al Jazeera, right? So Al Jazeera US has they have Al Jazeera US. They're a news organization, but we know that their money comes from Qatar. It's a public piece of information, and you can judge the legitimacy or the skewed nature of their news on that basis with that knowledge. If no one had ever told anybody that Al Jazeera was funded by Qatar and that was all kept secret, that would be a crime.
This is Timmy Poole's statement. My statement regarding the allegations in the DOJ indictment. Should these allegations prove true, he later clarifies that he didn't realize that the allegations were coming from the indictment itself.
Okay.
So that's why he says if they, should they prove true.
Yeah.
I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. You're not a victim. Shut up. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or what they are instructed. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement and will continue to exist after. The only change with the agreement was the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel. I and TCW never produced any content for Tenet Media.
Okay.
And this seems to be the way it was for all of these folks. They were just allowed to do their show. It was just posted to Tenet.
Yeah, that's how I understood it for Matt Christensen, is that he was effectively abandoning his individual YouTube channel and was just directing his content now onto Tenet, where they'd be the clearinghouse for it.
Yeah, never at any point did anyone other than me, dummy, have full editorial control over the show, and the contents of the show are often apolitical, which is true. My only problem with what Tim says here is that I was a victim. Shut up.
I mean, a victim as in like being unknowingly pulled into this, and I guess that's about as far as I could say. I mean, it's like I was just minding my own business, and the people that I entrusted my business to in contract took up money from a foreign actor. I mean, like you said, Lauren Chen and her husband are probably in some really deep trouble.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that these guys trusted to run the business end of them dedicating their content to this organization. So in that sense, I can see where the word victim could be legitimately used. I know you're a little scabby about it, but I could kind of see it. If I was pulled into something like this unbeknownst to me, and I was an honest actor the whole time under good faith, yeah, I could feel like I was, whatever you want to call it, mugged.
I'm not buying the victim act. No.
Okay. All right. It's a little. I'll give you this. It's a little melodramatic. But okay, well, okay. Let me do this. The thought experiment then. If you were in Tim Pool's position and you wanted to at least accurately describe your feelings about being blindsided by this, what word would you use to describe your position? If not victim, then what? Let's test your vocabulary.
I would say that I worked for Tenet Media. I had no idea where that money was coming from. I assumed that the corporation was getting all of their money legitimately.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't take any kind of stance on victim or any other word like that because I don't think it applies.
Okay.
I don't see you as a victim because all you have to do is say, I didn't know that's where the money was coming from, and I did my thing normal.
Well, I know, but I mean, it's a shorthand for everything you just said, right? You were
No,
unknowingly made a part of, or at least associated with something that you had nothing to do with, and now you're named in a DOJ indictment, and now you're getting all this
but he's
flack.
not. He's not named in there.
Well, no, well, okay, he all but named. I mean, there's only 6 personalities in the whole thing, so he's one of them. So you know,
I'm not giving any. No, they're not victims.
okay, all right, okay.
Now, when we've talked already about the foreign agent thing, Lauren might
Mhm.
be in trouble with the money laundering as well. And
Yeah,
here's why.
depending on her knowledge.
Company One received they got $9.7 million in 30 different wire transfers. And it's 30 inbound wire transfers from 7 foreign entities, none of which were U.S. Company One's contract counterparty.
Okay, that is so come on, that is just suspicious. Does not even begin to describe that.
Yeah. So there were 3 Turkish entities,
Uh-huh.
3 from, let's see, the EAU had 3.
Yeah.
There's one in or sorry, they had the first one, the ones in Turkey, 3 different things with the same address. There's 3 in the UAE, and they had addresses in Dubai and the UAE. And then there was one from Mauritius. I don't know how you say that.
Mauritius.
How do you say it?
Mauritius.
Mauritius. And
Thanks.
most of them, of the 7 entities, only 3 of them had websites, and the websites were all just trash.
Yeah, this. I mean, I'm not even a banker, but I look at that and I think, yeah, this sounds like some kind of tax haven offshore bullshit. Like if it was Uncle Murray, right? If Uncle Murray just came along and said, you know, I really like your operation here, and I got some extra money, I'll give you $10 million. Oh, thanks, Uncle Murray. But yeah, you get it like all siphoned in from all these Smurf companies. Come on. What right-minded individual look at this and say this seems legit? Yeah, Lauren's got no cover for this unless there's something else going on. She and her husband are in deep doo-doo.
Like the website of the Czech shell company that came up much earlier in the indictment. The websites of the UAE shell company, Entity 1, Entity 2, and the Mauritius shell company reflect seemingly odd inconsistencies. For example, the Mauritius whatever shell Entity 1 appears to maintain 2 websites using nearly identical domain names. One claims to supply agricultural products, and the other purports to be a digital marketing company.
Oh, very legit sounding. Yeah.
Yeah, we sell tractor supplies and marketing.
Yeah, rock solid.
This is why I say she might be in trouble, because reasonably, you're working for a company and they say, look, we're not going to pay you directly. We want you to bill all of this to these other guys that we totally aren't really a part of. It wouldn't be unreasonable for a jury to be like, yeah, that bitch knew. You know what I mean?
There's no way that you could look at this setup and say, I did my due diligence and I found this to be legitimate. There's just there's just no way. No one's going to buy that. You know, not the only way I can think of that you could get away with this maybe is if there is some other intermediary that Lauren Chen, and I'm not saying get away, but like maybe insulate yourself, as if there's another intermediary that Lauren Chen and her husband trusted to handle this, like an accountant or someone else, and they fed them a line of BS. That's the only thing I could think of that might insulate them a little bit, but even then, except
the invoices were written by Liam.
Oh,
that is in the
never
indictment.
mind. Never mind.
You're right. That would insulate them. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
If they went to it through an accounting firm, and that accounting firm was corrupt or something, or some kind of like matchmaker agency or something like that. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
no, this is silly. This is the kind of thing where like there's some great like scam baiter channels out there, like Scammers Payback and Nanobaiter and those guys, and
Mm.
they look up these fake companies all the time, these telemarketing companies, and they're like, huh, we got an address. Let's look at Google Maps for that address, and it's like some broken down looking ratty hotel or something. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I don't think this is a legit operation. So I wonder if you had those addresses, if you looked them up, what they would look like. Probably like an empty lot or something.
Was Lauren on the invoices? Her company was. I don't know if her name specifically was. The
Yeah,
money,
go ahead.
the money that those 30 invoices went to two different places. It went to a U.S. bank. They don't name which bank it is.
Mhm.
That Tenet Media has their money in. That's where everybody was paid from. And Roaming Millennial Incorporated in Canada.
Right. And
So
my question is, and I asked this earlier, is like, okay, so where does the line between, because when you start a corporation, the corporation's there to provide a certain amount of liability insulation between you, the individual, and the corporation operating. So, how much of this is directed at the entity that is the corporations, Roaming Millennial and Tenant, and then how does that then trickle down to Lauren Chen and her husband as individuals? That's the part I'm still really curious about.
oh well, I can actually answer that
All
for
right.
you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Please
There's
do.
$9.7 million is what's poured from the Russians into this.
Yes.
It's like $770,000 went to Roaming and her husband for their fees.
Okay. That's their direct
Their direct
enrichment.
payments, and that
Okay.
is part of that is what went to her Roaming Millennial Incorporated account.
Right.
It's this doesn't suggest that she was like siphoning any of the money that was supposed to go elsewhere or anything. Her This sounds so weird to say, but her accounting seems on the up and up. It's
Mhm.
just where the funds are coming from that's
Right.
not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the knowledge
So
of where the
yeah,
money is.
when the deal was first struck, she was being paid $8,000 a week,
Hmm.
as well as a percentage of any contract that she got signed with talent. And it doesn't
Uh,
name or doesn't tell us what percentage she got of what they were going to be paid.
Evolved Potato asks, do companies have the legal requirement to do due diligence? No. I mean, the buyer beware, but if you do,
I
well, I mean, okay, it depends. It
Depends.
depends. It depends. In general terms, though, if you open yourself up to problems because you don't do enough research ahead of time, you may face legal consequences as a result. If you're a fiduciary, then I believe there are some legal pitfalls if you don't take all reasonable measures to protect your clients when it comes to investments and so on. I can't claim to be a legal expert, but I think it's a bit nuanced, if I'm not mistaken.
There comes a point where you can no longer just claim ignorance.
Right, right. Like seeing like 17 different shell companies coming from different countries and they're
Yeah.
all just giving a little bit of money. Like there's when something doesn't pass the sniff test easily, then yeah, the appearance of impropriety here is almost beyond reasonable doubt. Like I say, you can't say this is just, oh, my Uncle Murray showed up and gave us a windfall.
Yeah,
And
literally.
I've known Uncle Murray for 20 years, and he's been a family friend, and I never had any reason to believe that his money came from anything else. He was in the oil industry for like most of his life, so you have to have enough reason to think that whoever took the money could have conceivably been duped themselves. In this case, I don't see how.
Literally none of the money came from where it should have.
Hmm.
The She was working with a she didn't know it was a shell company, or we're going to pretend she didn't, in the UK. That was the financial business. It was Tenet and this UK company. And literally none of the money that should have been coming from that UK company came from the UK company. It came from
But
the
she
other
also
shell corporations.
But didn't they personally know these two Russians? Like
Yes.
they were, yeah. So this wasn't like these two Boris and Natasha weren't hiding. Well, they weren't like secret puppeteers behind a shell company or something. They were personal contacts to the owners of Tenet.
Well, that's the other part of it, is that both Roaming and Liam apparently had worked for Russia Today.
Yeah, she'd been on their shows or something before. I don't know the extent of their relationship.
She also was writing columns for him, according to this. Both of them were. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So she knew them. She knew who they were. There's no question there, at least according to the indictment. And you'd be hard pressed to say, hey, this chick you met working at Russia Today, you didn't know she was Russian.
Well, the other thing too is that, okay, you're talking to two people who have just unavoidably Russian names. You worked with them at Russia Today, and then they bring you a bunch of money that comes from everywhere but Russia.
Well, there's also wait, why didn't that pop up like it should have? Excuse me. Why is this not working?
I don't know.
Hello, my F3 button's not working. There it goes.
I don't know.
Apparently, I wasn't I wasn't down far enough. In private correspondence while working directly for Russia Today, pursuant to Founder One's written contract, Founder One and Founder Two regularly referred to their sponsor, i.e. Russia Today, as the Russians. For example, on or about May 12, 2021, Founder 2 messaged Founder 1 on Discord. So we're billing the Russians for the corporation, right? I don't know how they weren't indicted along with these two Russians. I honestly don't.
Maybe they're cooperating. Maybe it's coming after they've dealt with their cooperate. Who knows?
Yeah. Apparently, they were repeatedly referring to the Russians as the Russians.
The Russians, yeah. So there wasn't any. They can't claim ignorance on this one. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Nope. They're in. Yeah. I assume, and I know this is a little going a long way. I assume that they're probably rolling on their Russian friends, or have been for quite a while now. I'll be curious to see if they're indicted, and if so, like individually, and if so, with what? Because I'm guessing they're going to take a plea or cooperate.
Knowing the Russians doesn't mean that they were aware of proper business practices due to those people being Russian. I hear you. However, I highly recommend reading through the indictment, deciding for yourself whether or not she knew that these people were Russians and specifically working for the Russian government.
And so again, as apparently there was no middleman accounting firm or something, and Liam himself was signing these invoices.
Yeah.
He knew where the money purportedly was coming from, and the suspicious does not begin to describe.
Yeah, again, there comes a point where you can no longer just claim, I know.
Yeah.
And they passed that a long fucking time ago. I just put in the link for the full indictment. This is the DOJ's press release. The leaked information.
Right, leaked. Yeah, this wasn't supposed to come out right now, guys. This was handed off to somebody in a parking garage at the middle of the night. Yeah.
Literally from their fucking public affairs office.
Public affairs is a pretty shady. I mean, it's the government. It's the DOJ.
Why do people have to make shit more than it is? The leak. Fuck off. Anyway, enough of that shit. Anything else you want to add on that topic, Scribbles?
No, I like this. Like I say, except for Matt Christensen and just the names Lauren Southern and Lauren Chen, I could probably count on my one hand how many videos I've ever watched from anyone other than Matt Christensen in that group, and my knowledge of Tenet was peripheral at best. So this is all just very funny to me, just how obviously stupid an idea it was to take money in this way and everything else. But one more entertainment for the rest of us in an election year.
Yeah, again, I don't think the creators did anything illegal. Uh,
No,
with the
no.
two big ones, I think they probably knew the money was dirty, but they just didn't care. Hey, the check cleared. I don't fucking care where the money
Yeah.
came from.
But I'll tell you
And
what, if this was Russian, if this was actually like, Kremlin money, 10 million Kremlin dollars or whatever,
mhm,
boy, I often lament the fact that James Bond doesn't have good villains anymore since the commies went by the wayside.
mhm.
I think the best commies have long gone, because if this is the best, if they thought this was a good investment of $10 million, given everything else going on with Russia right now, there might be hope for the rest of us.
I can't believe the Ukrainians are getting their ass kicked by these people.
Oh, geez.
Ivan Hellcat, thank you, who says, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, hit me up in DMs, man. If you're going to pay me to say the same things I normally say, I'll do it.
I
Fuck
know,
it. I don't
right?
care.
Seriously, Russia today.
And
I will change nothing and do nothing different. You want to give me a couple $1 million? Sure, okay.
I just also want to clarify, neither of us think that anybody involved here changed any opinions or pushed any Russian propaganda, any of the talent.
No,
There's no
even for,
evidence of that whatsoever.
yeah. There's nothing in the indictment that says that. Matt Christensen's line to me makes the most sense, especially for him. And again, everybody on this team were their own independent, and still do a lot, as far as I can tell from the contracts, functionally independent creators and commentators before they even joined Tenet, and their relationship with Tenet was, uh, I mean, effectively tenuous, in the sense that they were just moving their content to a different channel, but not changing anything else about it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it was almost like they were sponsored.
Yeah, it was like a glorified sponsorship, but it also
Yeah,
was also a glorified step, at least for Matt Christian, step down from what he was building on his own channel. So I
that's
hope
the
I really hope that Matt Christensen made up the difference in what he was getting paid for by Tenet, but it would feel kind of yucky to find out it's like, oh, some of my money was coming from illegal Russian funneling. Ugh.
yeah, I get that. The other part to this, Tenet's been out there for over a year now,
Mhm.
and I've never understood the marketing. It makes a lot more sense now, but if you look at something like the Daily Wire or even Crowder's own stuff, they
Hmm.
push the brand over and over and over, and I don't see
Right.
the Tenet brand really pushed except for by that Tyler dude, which is actually where I washed my hands of Tenet Media. I don't even remember what he did to piss me off. It was something about Fuentes.
Well, that's why I was surprised when I went over to look at their Twitter account and only saw less than 50,000 followers. I thought
Yeah,
with a stable of talent that they had. I mean, there was a time where you couldn't. I mean, at least on Twitter, you couldn't get away from like Roaming Millennial and Lauren Southern and Tim Pool and all these guys, and,
dude.
and especially like Tim Pool and Ruben. I thought, holy cow! And they're all connected to this company, and this company has less than 50,000 subscribers on their Twitter account. That doesn't make what? How do you fail at marketing that badly?
You have Benny Johnson, who is bigger than Tim Pool. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and you can't get an audience.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I went over there when this first broke, and I was looking at their numbers. The only ones that go over like 3,000 views are the ones from Tim Pool.
Mm-hmm.
Benny Johnson's don't even do that well over there.
Yeah, you look at Matt Christensen's numbers before he moved to Tenet Media and after,
Yeah.
it's night and day. Like, why? Like I say, there must have been some kind of really sweet regular payment in the contract to make up for that, because and again, I only paid attention. I have never seen a Benny Johnson video. I haven't seen a video from Lauren Southern since I don't. That was
The
that
last
documentary. She did a documentary like where she went on the border or to like Iraq or something. I can't remember what it was.
the
Like went
last thing I
somewhere
really
dangerous.
watched from Lauren Southern was when she came back after she'd been away from social media for a while, and she
Uh-huh.
did that expose on conservatives
Okay.
and basically called Paul Joseph Watson a creep
Uh,
and said a whole bunch of the people she ran into were just trying to get into her pants all the time,
sure.
which I don't doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim Pool. The most I see of Tim Pool is when other people are making fun of him, mostly. And
I
then
make
Dave
fun of him a
Rubin.
lot.
I the last thing I remember watching from Dave Rubin was when he had Candace Owen and Blair White on yelling at each other for like half an hour, and it's just like
I don't remember I occasionally catch some of his clips on Twitter because I do follow him.
Sure. Okay.
But the last time I tuned into his YouTube channel, I could not tell you.
Yeah, and Matt Christensen, like I said, I always liked his stuff. Anytime one of his commentaries came up, I was like Johnny on the spot. But as soon as he dropped off his own channel, I didn't want to subscribe to Tenet Media because they were pumping out a bunch of people I didn't care about. I didn't want to get a bunch of like notifications for things I didn't give a rip about. I just wanted to hear Matt Christensen stuff, and I was just like, nah, that turned me off to it. I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway,
Anonymous Gamer, it's your birthday. This one's for you. And a 1 and a 2. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Anonymous Gamer. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, sir. Hope you have a great one. Really, really do.
I needed some technical advice. So I've only noticed on my show in the last couple of weeks, and apologies to people who've been watching my TED Excellence streams, is like I usually do my intro where I go and I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon. And I only noticed by listening back to my stuff that for some reason, every time I do my on the moon thing, I peak and it completely cuts out. And I don't know how to tell my microphone to let me hit high notes without it like chopping me off.
Turn your head away.
If I go like this, so tell me if this cuts out. From Crater Valley on the moon.
It still did cut out a little bit at the very beginning. You're just going to, the only way you're going to stop that is turning your gain down.
Turning my gain down.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
But if you do that, the rest of your talk is going to be really low.
Okay, well, so here's the thing. On my microphone, my gain is turned all the way down. So it might be something to do with my audio software.
Yeah. The only thing you can do in that case, do something like try cup your hands over it. You still get people will get the impression that you're yelling.
Okay, let me try something else. On my audio software, I turned the gain off.
Okay.
So let me try now. So I'm going to turn my head away first. You tell me what happens. From Crater Valley on the moon.
No, you're still getting just too loud there.
Okay, so maybe it's StreamYard. I don't know. It didn't used to do this. I don't understand why it's doing it now, but it didn't used to do this. Something changed. Yeah,
because typically when there's an issue with, especially cutting out from that, you're just getting way too loud for it, and typically it's gain related.
Huh. Yeah, I don't understand then. It didn't used to do this, but somehow. So for those of you listening, I'm just saying that I'm going to have to, for the sake of not sounding like a complete moron any more than I already do, when I do my shows now, I'm going to have to like tone down my excitement when I tell you where I'm broadcasting from.
Yeah, just don't go quite as high.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
All right. This one, I'm actually really glad you're here tonight because this would have felt wrong to do without you.
Uh-oh. What's this? Is it the crickets in the background?
No, that's Asshole. Oh. He's here from time to time.
Okay.
CNN has rehired.
I know.
Brian Stelter.
I know. I tweeted about this yesterday or the day before. I was like, CNN, what is the definition of insanity?
He'll be doing the Reliable Sources newsletter, not necessarily a show. That I haven't seen any show listed, but he is going to be their media watchdog guy again.
No.
Because he was so good at it last time.
Let's see. Hold on. I wanted to get the exact quote here. Let's see. Yeah, Brian Stelter returns to CNN as chief media analyst.
Yep.
Reliable Sources newsletter lead author. So you want chief media analyst of a guy who kept secret a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on behind the scenes at CNN with sexual harassment and things. Go ahead.
It's even worse than that because
Oh, sure.
I believe he didn't know. Like when Cuomo's getting
Really?
fired, he got scooped by fucking Fox with Cuomo getting fired, and he works in the same fucking. No, nobody likes this guy.
Well, no. Him getting fired, sure, but the reasons behind it.
Yeah.
You think you think he didn't know about the accusations before he got fired?
Oh, I'm positive he didn't know.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Well, it's true. I was always under the impression that he was just like, putting his fingers in his ears and just like, being a company man.
Oh, no. His company man stuff comes from his going after Fox News and being their little bulldog
sure.
on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the people that work with him like him, and that, like he goes into the break room and everybody stops talking.
He is so creepy. He just has this, like, especially his smile. His smile looks like a supervillain. It's just
God, it does. And this one here specifically, this video, we're not going to watch it. We watched it before, guys. This is him telling us how a fake news story is propagated.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the fake news story he's talking about is the Hunter Biden laptop.
Right. This is classic. It is a classic video.
He tells us that the New York Post, they got their information from another Rupert Murdoch group. No, it's like Fox News got it from the New York Post, which is another Rupert Murdoch owned entity, and that it was pushed by Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani.
That's right.
And there was a laptop dropped off in Delaware, and there were copies, and maybe stuff happened, but it doesn't matter because it's just about getting it out there. Unlike a lot of the shit you reported, Brian, this one was actually true. You spread misinformation. And this is their media analyst.
Well, you got to remember, even though Zucker's not there anymore, you got to remember, they're not investigators, they're journalists.
That's true.
Yeah, Zucker made sure to make that clear several years ago. At CNN, we're not investigators, we're journalists. And journalist basically means nothing then. So Brian Stelter just has to say what he's told to say. Except his money, as far as I know, doesn't come from Abu Dhabi or whatever through a shell corporation.
Sure. Rehiring this idiot, he's been back on CNN a lot. Well, because they just finally gave him an actual paid position, because he's been showing up, especially in the last month or so. He's on CNN a lot.
They can't find anybody better than Brian Stelter at this point. I mean, it's going to be great when Chris Cillizza gets his job back there. I'm waiting for that.
Will you talk for just a second?
I can talk for just a second. Yeah. So Brian Stelter, it just shows the absolute lack of imagination. I mean, when Zaslav and them took over and bought CNN, and they completely gutted CNN Plus as soon as it started because it was an obvious boondoggle. Zucker set that up as some kind of giant piggy bank. And they started cutting ties with their dead weight, like Stelter, like Cillizza, like so many others. I thought, okay, well, maybe CNN is going to reform itself. Maybe it's seeing the light, and it's actually going to say, all right, we need to become a respected news organization again. We can't have these clowns on anymore. Which is what makes it just confuses me, is like, why would you be going of all the people that you could hire back on to be your chief media analyst? You get Stelter, you don't bring in Matt Taibbi or or Green. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Greenwald all the time, but I mean, somebody else that's got a little bit, you at least show that you've changed your ways a little bit.
The guy who did all the firing himself has already left. He only lasted a few months. Mm-hmm. And you have to remember that even though this guy's not liked there, people think that all of that firing that happened was wrong, and they got to right the wrongs from all of that. So of course he was going to get his job back.
Well, okay. I'd love to be a fly on the wall to know what is, and I always bring this up, what is the ROI on paying Brian Stelter to work for CNN again? What audience do they expect to attract with this Yutz?
The MSNBC audience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
Okay.
The CNN has a problem. Who was it the other day that I was watching? I think it was the Bill Maher clip we watched. It was because it was when he was talking with Caitlin Collins.
Right.
He said, you know, you got Fox on the right, MSNBC on the left, CNN should be in the middle. But CNN doesn't see it that way. Just look at how they talk about Fox.
Right.
They almost, if you watch it, their commentators may not go as far as the MSNBC ones do, but they're always on the exact same side.
Right.
And they're, instead of trying to get a news audience, they're trying to get the lefty news audience. Brian here has no self-respect or pride. Well, look at him. Would you? I'm just saying.
I mean, when they did the great culling at CNN, they had a real opportunity to try to reestablish themselves with some credibility and legitimacy, and just really show like by dropping, Don Lemon and Stelter and Chris Cillizza and some of these other guys. It's like, okay, we're going to reform. And I remember I was actually a big fan of CNN way back in the day. Because I remember the first time I ever paid attention was the same time a lot of people paid attention to him. It was during the Gulf War. I remember sitting in my living room with my parents watching the night vision scope footage of all the rockets and tracers going up into the sky around Baghdad. Mm-hmm. And I was glued to my TV. And I remember when Columbine happened, I was glued to my TV. I was like, and really just getting really enmeshed in what was going on in the world through CNN. And then, of course, as time goes on, it just becomes and of course, also my sort of maturity of my brain as well. I'm being sold a message, and I'm not getting the whole story. I kept feeling like that up through college and everything, and it's just sad. And so when they were like dropping everybody, I thought, okay, maybe they'll reclaim some of their past greatness, because I think most people yearn for actual old time flat journalism. Just the Edward R. Murrow kind of thing. I know it's idealistic, and I know that it's more sugar coated than reality would say otherwise. But something like that,
I hear you. Sorry, real quick over on Rumble. Yeah, Monk commentator 4 was Lauren Southern. She's the only she that mentioned she in the indictment.
Right.
And 5 is probably that Tyler guy. Because we know Christensen is 6. I think people say they want less sensational news, but they always turn in to find out what's going to kill them at the end of the evening news broadcast. Because sensational news is what gets your attention. It's why all the news people are, why is it always bad news? Isn't it Chris Rock who said they should just call it bad news? Well, because that's what gets people's attention. And it's a human thing. We're attracted to sensationalism, and what you can hope for is that they do it as little as possible, keep it entertaining, but still true.
I think there's an appetite for something less sensational. I just don't think that they're brave enough to try it. And just at the risk of pushing somebody else, so there's a channel on YouTube called Agenda Free TV, and it's run by this dorky looking guy named Steve Lookner, but he has his own little news channel, and when things happen, he's paid for feeds from Reuters and AP and all types of things. And when something's going on, he's Johnny on the spot. And he fights with his audience. Like anytime you watch his show, he's always fighting with his audience. Is like, I am not going to repeat rumors. I cannot show you footage that I have not paid for. And he just says what's going on. And I am actually, even though sometimes it gets a little obnoxious with him, sort of like arguing with his audience, I'm actually refreshed by the fact that he's not feeding me a line or putting a spin on anything. He's just like, this is what's being reported. This is what we know. This is what we don't know, etc. So I think, and he has a really, really active audience, and there's a lot of people that watch. And I tune in, even though sometimes it can get a little, because he's a one-man show. He doesn't have like a partner or something or a producer. He's just going to do it all by himself. So he runs into the same problems like I would trying to do that for lengthy periods of time. But I also can't stop watching because I know I'm not getting sold. So I think there is an audience for it, but I don't know that anybody wants to try to risk doing it given the climate.
I hear you that there's an audience for it, but there's an audience for most everything. It's whether it's an audience you can sell to advertisers.
Yeah, like I say, maybe I'm just being idealistic, but none of the news media organizations are even partially attempting to do it anyway. So until somebody actually gives it a fair shot, we'll just have to assume the opposite, I suppose.
Alpha says this image of Brian is making me uncomfortable. I changed it to a better one. What do you think of this one? How do you like this one? What's up, Jack? How you doing tonight, man?
Hey, fellas.
Well, it's funny that Jack shows up because I was just about to say I need to start winding down because I got to be up at 4 a.m.
All right, man. Well, thanks for hanging out, dude.
Yep. Hi, Jack. Or
Hi.
me. Hi, Scribe.
Hi, Scribe. You should quit your job.
If I quit my job, I tell you what, everybody in the chat, if all of you are shell companies from various countries that want to funnel money into me to say what I was going to say anyway, I'll quit my job.
There you go.
Fine.
Right.
Yeah. It just happened to be, if you want to turn yourself into a shell company and give me no strings attached and just put money in there to feel like you're being influence peddlers with me, sure. Russia Times. Hey, I'm right here. Pay me to do what I was going to do anyway. And I'll be fine. I'm not gonna change my pepper jacks to pepper Russians or something.
Pepper vodkas.
Pepper vodkas. There's something else for like a Kiev Jack or something. No way, that's different. But yeah. So Monkey, thanks for having me on. Jack, nice saying hi, passing
Nice
ships in the night
seeing
and everything. Everybody in the chat, hope you enjoyed the show. And tomorrow, Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, over on my channel, TED Excellence, with a revised bingo card. Yes, we've consolidated a couple of squares, put in a new square, and we'll be talking about, I called it artificial intelligence, because the question will be, can you put empathy into AI?
No, you can't.
Well, I already know the answer to the question, but I'm curious to find out what the argument is, which is usually the case for these. So, yeah.
Sure.
So, you don't already know about me, go check that out. And otherwise, I'm going to go try to sleep and then get up in the crack of dawn to work. So,
all right, man. Take care, bud.
Yep. Take care, Monkey. Feel better. And I'll nice to see you, Jack.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you, Scribe.
That is Scribe Light here on YouTube, LIGHT. Thank you, Michael. I feel the same about old DeFranco back when he actually did news instead of propaganda. Is this before or after the titties? Because that's how he got his start, was on other people's titties. I'm just saying. Jack, did you keep up with all of the news on Roman Millennial?
No. I saw little bits and pieces here and there, but I don't know. I could give an opinion based on what I know so far, but I really don't know a whole lot.
I'll give you the quick rundown, and then you can tell me. 2 Russians were paying Lauren Chen and her husband to make Tenet Media. They paid him almost $10 million. There's no suggestion that the talent actually pushed any Russian propaganda. In fact, the DOJ said that Russia was paying to cause chaos in America by having discussions on like trans issues and shit. They were clearly money laundering, and Lauren and her husband should have known that, and they absolutely did know that they were working for Russians. So that's where we are.
Oh, well, she's worked for Russian Times before, so, and she does have a tiny girl brain. So I don't know. I mean, how far can you trust a half Chinese French Canadian?
I know, right? She probably can't drive either.
Yeah, look, I can fix her. Just give me a couple weeks in my subterranean love den. I can fix her. But if she knew anything about this, like, I'm willing to assume that maybe she's dumb. I know her husband seems like a total fucking retard.
Oh, she knew.
Yeah,
there's no way she didn't know. There's just no way.
Yeah, well, I am leaving a little bit of chance that she didn't understand that what she was doing was illegal, or if she was an American, treasonous. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't really trust the DOJ either, because we've seen them accuse Trump of a lot of stuff. And we are right before the election, right after Tim Pool threatened to sue Kamala Harris's campaign. So it's questionable timing. I don't know if it's real or not. Who fucking knows? Nothing surprises me anymore. So who knows?
Jack, I'm gonna give you a bunch of money to start a company, okay?
Okay, you heard it here, guys.
But none of the money is going to come from me. It's going to come from shell companies in the UAE and Czechoslovakia, and where was the other one? And not just from those places, different companies within those places. There's no way she didn't know there was something fucking dirty going on here.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's probable that she should have known, and probably knew. But I think a lot of innocent people are going to get railroaded by this, because I mean, her stances have always been a little bit weird on things. So I don't know.
I feel like most people aren't even going to pay much attention. Who the fuck even knew who Tenet Media was, right?
Yeah.
They had no presence. They had some of the biggest creators in the right-wing spheres and couldn't get an audience.
Yeah, they never really got any traction. So I don't know what I'm supposed to think here. You know, I just don't know enough about the situation, but I'm leaving the possibility that they're just idiots and they saw a big pile of money and we're like, oh my God, we could follow our dream of owning our own thing now.
Fugi, is this real? This is from 8/8/2020. I can't make up my mind, dang it. Which would be a better language to learn? I'm more concerned with utility rather than difficulty. And she asks either Polish or Russian, and Russian wins by 2/3 or 3/4 of the vote.
Wow.
That aged well.
Yeah. Sorry, chat. I can't interact with you right now. There's something going wrong horribly with my Chrome. So I don't know what that's all about.
My Chrome has been shit since the last update, which I did not approve it doing.
Yeah, mine updated on its own, and it's been acting weird ever since.
All right, we got some stuff to cover here, Jack. I'm glad you're here for this part. Not that I'm not always glad you're here, don't get me wrong, but this is a update to a story we've been following around here. That I feel like we have to talk about.
Oh yeah.
So this is a Fox News 9 segment out of somewhere in Minnesota. I don't fucking know.
A local podcaster is now facing charges for something he allegedly did while live streaming his show. Aaron Imholt is the host of the Steel Toe Morning Show.
Yep. Aaron Imholt, that fucking retard who was part of the quadruple there with Nick Rekieta and their two hoary wives. He's been arraigned for, well,
that has been on the air for at least a decade. Fox 9's Karen Scullin joins us now to explain what is happening here. Karen?
37-year-old Aaron Imholt made his first court appearance this morning for disseminating private sexual images without consent.
Whoopsie.
Oops. Revenge porn.
You see the mugshot? I did. I also saw the footage of the I watched Nate the lawyer's video on this. He's got the footage from inside the court, and he's such a dork, man.
Why is everybody involved in this whole Rekieta thing completely fucking retarded?
Well, because you'd have to be to get involved in what happened here.
That's a good point.
Well, actually, live streaming.
I bet you thought I wasn't coming. Welcome to the show. It's me. It's
37-year-old Aaron Imholt, the host of the Steel Toe Morning Show, a YouTube podcast with about 13,000 subscribers. But one of
and about 100 viewers.
Holt's May shows has him in some legal trouble. He was reported for sending a photo of a naked woman that he knows to a person joining him on the podcast. That woman reported the situation to police.
There's the shot he was talking about. There's don't smile in mugshots, for fuck's sake.
He looks like employee of the month at the special needs school.
He looks like he just got arrested for touching a child.
Yes, he does. He drives an ice cream van, and he's really good with kids.
He teaches girls softball. Real quick. Thank you, Travis Gardner. Monkey, you had a Russian operative on your channel twice. Damn it. Russians owe me some fucking money, though.
Right? Oh, real quick. Thank you, Evolved Potato. You don't have to read this out loud. But my problem with the argument on how they got their payment is the stories are Russian, presumably an oligarch was putting up the money, and how they got the money is how Russian oligarchs do business. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. They do a lot of shady shit through shell corporations, and I don't know. I really don't know. I just don't trust the DOJ fully. Maybe Lauren and her husband knew what was going on. That's a good possibility. They should have. Everything I've heard about this sounds fishy as hell, but I like money too. So sometimes that blinds you to the peripherals. I'm just curious to know because they've got a couple of kids. How's that going to work out?
Don't they only have the one?
I thought they had two.
I haven't followed Lauren that closely for a while. So no idea. Anyhow, back to Aaron here. This dumb motherfucker did this live on stream.
And now Imholt faces criminal charges.
Did you check? I like tattoos more than I think. Your boy didn't do too bad, did he?
Is that not the creepiest shit? I wish we had the full clip. I probably should have went and dug it up. So what happens is he's talking to that reject. I don't know who that guy is. He looks like he works at the staph infection unit. The guy he's talking to is complaining about how Nick Rekieta's wife has a tattoo on her breast. And he doesn't like those. He doesn't like them. And so this dumb motherfucker on your screen right now sends him a naked picture of Rekieta's wife live on the air. And your boy didn't do too bad for himself, did he? This just proves to me this guy was a dork in high school and he's still happy every time he gets laid because he can't even believe it's happening.
Well, as somebody who is happy every time they get laid, can't believe it's happening. I understand that, but this is weird. This is really weird.
No. There's a difference. There are guys who get really creepy about it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm always happy to get laid. I like my wiener being touched and by somebody other than me. And I get that part of it. But this is the kind of guy who goes bragging about it because I saw titties. He's impressed with himself over it. That's like some high school shit. He's 37. You should not have this look on your face about sending a nude picture of a chick you know to another dude. One, you shouldn't be doing that anyway.
Yeah, that's first of all, it's bad for him. Have a little bit of decorum, dude. Nobody likes somebody that runs around blabbing. Second of all, you look like Eddie Munster, and that's not okay. So do something about your weird widow's peak, get rid of those glasses, and maybe don't smile like a fucking sex offender every time you see something.
Just listen to the way he says it.
Your boy did pretty good, didn't he?
Your boy didn't do too bad, did he?
Your boy didn't do too bad, did he? I thought titty.
You approve, right, Daddy Jim?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, is he trying to impress discount Frank Zappa there?
I guess so. And this is what's impressive to him. I don't know. This is so stupid. Anyway, he had his arraignment, and the judge told him, don't talk about her or go near her or do anything else. And we find out in the arraignment that he has violated a PRO before.
Oops.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, hold on. Let me find my shocked face. Oh, nope. Sorry, I can't use one on this. Who's surprised this weird-looking motherfucker violated a protective order?
Yeah.
Who's surprised by that? His mugshot says this dude violates protective orders, probably while carrying knives, or more even gay, a sword.
His mugshot says he's not allowed within 100 yards of a school.
Yeah, like that is just. First of all, never smile in your mugshot. You want to look like a hard bastard. You don't want to look like a because somebody's gonna enjoy your butthole. Granted, he looks like he should be in the new Dexter show, but
he's been charged with disseminating porn, basically revenge porn.
Yeah,
and somebody said because the video from Nate is from a live stream he did, so he's talking to his audience at the same time. Somebody said that the picture was actually posted by Nick somewhere, which, if true, might get him out of trouble because it was publicly posted. But
it could also be a form of witness intimidation.
Yeah.
Especially because Ralph was visiting Nick not that long ago and then threatened to beat up Aaron.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to be a little more careful with that. But a bad decision seems to be a track record in the Ricada household.
Why would you do this on stream? I'll show you. I'll show you something after the stream. We can talk about that after the stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, by the way, dude, I just sent you her naked. I did pretty good for myself, didn't I? God damn, man. What is wrong with these people?
Arrogance. It's arrogance.
Look, dude, we're all shocked you got laid, okay? There's nobody who's ever seen you and not surprised that you are not a virgin. I promise you, that's everybody's thought when they first see you. That and keep the kids away from him. Yeah. I'm not saying this guy touches kids. I'm saying he looks like somebody who touches kids.
Yeah, or kills them for fun and sexual release.
But this is such creepy fucking behavior. And I just don't understand it. You're 37. You shouldn't be trying to brag to other guys. I got laid.
At 37 going on 14.
Fuck, man. Frankly, by 17, you shouldn't be doing that. You should have outgrown that shit. And he did it on stream. Why?
Because people are fucking dumb. Some of these streamers just get so caught up in what they're doing. They cannot separate it out. So it doesn't surprise me that he did this on stream because he seems like he's dumb enough to do shit like that.
All they have to do is look at what you sent them. And if it was public, that would have been something easily shown to the prosecutor to keep this from going forward. Your dumbass is probably going to jail.
Yeah, all because you had to make a little side comment. Boy, did pretty good. Idiot.
It's so dumb. Look, I get it, man. You lost your wife to Nick. That's got to be hard. But look at you, man. Seriously.
Yeah, you should have invested in higher quality cocaine, apparently.
You really should have. I don't for a second believe that you leaving the foursome was your choice. I don't believe that for a minute.
They just started locking the closet door.
Yep. Thank you, Cryptic. He looks like a French Canadian. Fuck. Yeah. The Rekieta thing just goes round and round and round and round. So, well,
It really does, doesn't it?
now we have a whole nother case to watch out for. Because this idiot couldn't just take the L and be like, you know what? I'm done with those people.
That would have been the smart move, but here we are.
I tuned into his little show there today for a bit, and it was amazing how many people in his audience were let's say hate watching. We'll call it hate watching. Plenty of supporters too. Not to take he's getting some fame out of being a dirty pervert. Gentlemen, if a woman sends you a naked picture, keep it to yourself.
Yeah, don't show your friends. That's first of all very poor form. It's
What
very
is wrong with you?
immature. And women all talk, man. They will eventually get around to all talking about you and what a complete douche nozzle you are for doing that. And you will not be getting any puss for a while.
Here's the other thing. Once the relationship is over, I realize it's your picture, but delete that shit, you fucking lunatic. Why did you still have a picture of another dude's naked wife on your phone?
It's a bit weird.
Just let it go, for fuck's sake.
You can't. This is what's been getting
Well-
him viewers and money.
Well, it's
the
not
Nick
just
stuff.
that. It's his trophy, and we see it in this thing. Your boy did pretty good for himself, huh?
You're bragging about banging a middle-aged mother of 5.
Here's an old lady I banged once that's uglier than my wife.
I banged this lady that's old enough to be a grandmother.
Oh, for fuck's sake, man.
Oh, did I do good? Huh, I did good, right? Banging this cougar, right? Right. Shut up.
You know,
It's
he
like banging
deeply
a
loved
washed-up
her.
celebrity.
You know, he deeply loved her, right? He said it multiple times. I know that he got it in his head that she was going to run away with him and that they had some deep connection, and he was looking for a new baby mama because he can't seem to keep those. But delusion doesn't make it real.
Yeah. Well, and she is what, like easily 12 years older than him. 'Cause
She's
she's
got
gotta be
5
close to
kids.
50.
Is she gonna leave the rich father of her 5 kids for this loser?
No, I mean, well, his podcast has like a 1,000 viewers or something, right? He has like 12,000 subscribers. So
Yeah. How is the old steel toe doing these days? He did have almost 1,000 live viewers today, but that's right after this indictment comes out. Let's see. Normal, he pulls about 3,000 to 4,000 people. Actually, go back further, it's about 2,000. Only when something big blows up about the case does it go over about 1,500. So yeah, she's totally going to leave Nick Rekieta, a millionaire trust fund baby, for somebody with an audience smaller than ours.
Yeah,
It would be one thing if there was like any charisma to this guy. Have you ever watched his show?
Oh God, it's painful.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh,
it's so bad.
So fucking boring.
If it wasn't for Rekieta stealing this guy's wife, nobody'd know who he is.
Yeah, he'd be just running some small little morning show or whatever, doing his thing and not even being a blip on the radar.
Look, there's nothing wrong with having a small show and doing your small thing, but we're talking about why he would think she would leave Nick for him.
Yeah,
in what world does that happen?
Look, he has a very extensive Dungeons and Dragons collection. And let me tell you, as someone who also has one, that is a panty dropper because they will throw their used panties at you to distract you long enough to escape.
I mean, just look at that look on his face. The women in the audience probably had to go change their panties just because we have this picture up.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of looks like my old tax guy, but
It's because they peed at the sexual predator on the screen.
yeah, well, you're supposed to do that in rape. They always tell you to pee yourself.
Yeah, by the way, I'm not saying he's a sexual predator. He just looks like one.
Yeah, he just has like a certain je ne sais quoi of a pervert. So I need to get my phrenology model out and see.
All right, which is creepier, this picture or that face?
Yes. I don't know. They're creepy in different ways. They're equally creepy.
Oh, fuck.
Because the first one is before he says he lost his puppy, and the second one is when he's got you in the van. So there's still a threat level there that's pretty much on par.
Nuts is challenging me on the ladies having to go change their panties. You can't tell me what I know about women. How dare you, lady? Wow, Monk is early. No, Monk is really late. I am so tired. I am so tired.
Tired. My day's not even half over. Apparently,
I'm sick, dude.
Yeah, I'm sick.
You
You sound like my last date. I'm hot. My hair's on fire. Call me an ambulance. Blah, 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 blah. Me. I'm sorry you don't feel good. Hypnagogic Monk is telling us that David Hogg is using the indictment. So, of course, because he's a stupid piece of shit. So, is it political propaganda? It's possible. I don't rule anything out.
Look, again, two things can be true at the same time. Lauren Chen could have taken money from Russians and people could be using it as propaganda. Because if we're looking at it, there's not much really there. Again, the indictment, they're not even claiming that Russian propaganda was pushed. They're claiming that the Russians were basically paying these guys to do what they already did.
Yeah, so free speech is the problem?
It's because of violation of the Foreign Reporting Act and money laundering, because they totally laundered money to do this.
Yeah. See, I think that's where they're in more trouble. But again, the people that actually were creating the content are probably safe.
Yeah. And the only reason I don't think Lauren is because of what is in the indictment, in quotes and stuff, which almost certainly say she knows. But does it mean any Russian propaganda was actually pushed? No. And there's nothing in the indictment that suggests. I'm sorry. There's that one part that we read, but it's a minor thing, and they don't even offer. They say that he said he would do it, but they don't actually say that he did it. And this is, I think, Dave Rubin is who they're talking about, saying that it sounded good that he would do a story about how an attack in Moscow, which ISIS claimed credit for, was actually done by Ukrainians.
I was saying that. They didn't give me a fucking nickel.
I know. Those motherfuckers owe us money, man.
I know.
This is why we always say fuck the Russians, man, because they're bad people.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't doubt that the Ukrainians would hire some disgruntled Muslims to go blow some shit up. It's totally unbelievable to me. So you could have at least sent me a check.
No shit. Give me a Walmart gift card at least.
No, we're not good enough to be bribed, monkey.
I know, right? Anyway, back to our little pervert here. I don't know what he's facing for this. I don't know what the possible jail time would be for this. The judge was really not impressed with his record of violating a PRO.
Yeah, that's never good. Don't do that, guys.
But he got a $75,000 bail. And much like Nick Rekieta, the bail, you could either pay the bail or follow the court conditions. And his court conditions are really simple. Leave homegirl alone. That's it. Check in with his lawyer from time to time. Tell the court if anything changes with his address. That's it.
Look, monkey, this is true love. No judge can stop true love.
Yeah. At this point, if I'm Lady Rekieta, I forget her name, I start carrying a gun. Look at that face.
I don't
That-
think she can have a gun as part of her release conditions.
That's right. I would carry it concealed. This is why that face right there is why women need to know how to handle a gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Kidnap you, murder you, and then sniff your panties while wearing your face as a mask while doing your kooky dance.
Kayla Ricada, I don't think that's her name. I think her name is not April.
Oh, yeah. The other one.
The other white meat. Oh, man. Yeah, and totally not their throuple. April's apparently still living with them, too. New mommy. You know, this dude has a chick. He replaced April already. This is the power of a YouTube channel. This dude doesn't even have a big or popular channel, but he can still pull puss because seriously, some of y'all women are way too easily impressed.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's really weird. But I woke up. This is the first story I saw this morning was about this dumb motherfucker sharing. I can't even call it revenge porn because it wasn't done for revenge. But sharing naked images of somebody that he did not have the permission to share. So his kids are going to go live at the Ricada drug house. Actually, they wouldn't because April's not their mom. Like I said, he has trouble keeping a woman. Shocking, I know. All right, what else do we have today? I don't care about that. Don't care about that. Oh, God. So Tucker Carlson had an interesting person on his show the other day. And it's kicked off quite the debate. I forget the guy's name, but he said, and quoting here, the Holocaust was an unfortunate logistical problem. The Nazis ran out of space for prisoners. Nobody wanted to kill all the Jews except maybe Churchill.
What?
Yeah, you see, Hitler didn't want to kill the Jews. No. They just ran out of space for him, so they had to.
No, did he not read Mein Kampf?
Nah, bruh. Nah.
There's a lot of Nazi literature about how much they hated the Jews and blamed them for all of the Weimar collapse.
This dude wrote a long screed about why Churchill was the really bad one, and I'm not making this shit up. He says it's because none of those atrocities would have happened without the war, which only Churchill wanted.
No, I'm pretty sure the Poles wanted someone to come save them, but that I don't know. That's historical illiteracy.
No. You see, it was actually Hitler offered to stop the war and give back. Hang on. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you. To give back all of the parts of Poland that weren't occupied by ethnic Germans. And Churchill just wouldn't go for it, and that's what actually drug on the war.
Well, nobody wanted to trust Hitler after the whole nonsense with Chamberlain. Nobody believed him. So even if that offer was made, which I don't remember ever hearing before, nobody would trust Hitler because his word was no good.
Yes.
Remember, he had a treaty with Stalin, violated that. Had a non-aggression thing where Chamberlain signed, oh, we're not going to do anything now. Violated that.
Yep.
Why would you trust that guy at all?
Chamberlain tried what this idiot is saying Churchill should have done.
Yeah.
And got screwed for it. And look, Chamberlain gets a bad rap because he really was trying to prevent war. He went the wrong route. He is a historical reminder of why you can't deal with somebody like Hitler.
Yeah.
But his his heart was in the right place. He was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, he was like a modern politician, thinks you could just talk your way out of everything.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work. Some people just like violence.
It's really fucked up. And Tucker actually talked about the guy called him a historian willing to tell the truth. I'm not saying Churchill was a nice guy or even a good guy, but when it comes to World War II, can we please stop trying to make Hitler better than he was? I agree. There's a whole lot of people who should be right there with him and maybe even above him for the horrible shit they did. Stalin comes to mind.
Stalin, absolutely.
But that doesn't mean Hitler wasn't bad.
Yeah, it doesn't make Hitler some sort of peace-loving hippie. No, he was a warmonger who wanted to build an empire because he thought it was the master race's inheritance.
Yes. And he absolutely wanted to kill the Jews. All right.
Yeah.
Can we stop with that shit? You want proof? Not only did they kill the Jews, they did horrible experiments on them. Are you telling me they did horrible experiments on these people because they were out of space?
No, because they wanted to look further science. That's air quotes, guys. Because they were looking into genetics and how to crossbreed. It was the foundations of a lot of the stuff we have now, sadly. But they were experimenting on Jews, gays, mentally impaired. They were even trying to get cattle crossbred to bring back this giant boar or a cow of some kind. Look it up, Hitler's cows. And so that they could bring it back so that the righteous Germans could fight it again. It was very, very bizarre. Of course, Stalin tried to make ape men. So I don't know, there was a whole era of mad science going on. But there was a lot of horrific experiments done to people by the Germans and the Japanese. So it's pretty irresponsible. Real quickly, though, thank you, Cult of Krill, for that feminist donation. Churchill's excuse for going to war was to free Poland. However, when the war was over, he gave it to Stalin. Churchill wasn't a hero. I think most political leaders that time are very complicated individuals. So, yeah, that they just ended up ceding it to the USSR. I don't think they wanted a confrontation at that point. Autarks, thank you. The extinct cow thing. Thank you, Stevie. Can you guys still hear me?
I hear you.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Stop trying to make Hitler out to be better than he is, because he was a shitbag, a horrible, evil shitbag, and we should be able to just stick with that. If you want to question Churchill, and that's fine, and like the aftermath with how the Eastern Bloc got set up and everything, there's reasons for why it happened the way it did. I'm not saying there's good reasons, Jack.
No, a lot of that is politics and compromise, and a lot of innocent people got royally fucked in the process. But unfortunately, that's the way of the world. When you're conquered like that, and then somebody comes in to, quote, liberate you, and things never go the way you think they're going to go.
No. And yeah, it took another, 45 years before that shit finally ended. There was bad stuff that went on all sides, of course, but when we're talking about whose responsibility it was absolutely not Churchill's fault that the war went on as long as it did. That the war is Hitler's fault. Period. End of story.
Yeah. The only reason the Russians got involved was because Hitler stabbed them in the back. Yep. Otherwise, they were just going to let them roam around Europe.
Stalin didn't believe, even as Hitler was marching to his door, that Hitler was going to do it because they had a deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and apparently you don't stab the Russians in the back because, oh, dear God.
Yeah, they'll send people at you without guns.
Yeah, that's just crazy. So
Run in there and pick up one from a dead guy.
yeah, if you run back at me, I'm gonna shoot ya.
Yeah, I'm just and I'm not saying this guy's being anti-Semitic because I don't know if he is or not. But the anti-Semitism that I'm seeing, I'm already tired of.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times I've made a post and some jackass has been, it's the Jews.
It's just lazy.
It's lazy and dumb.
Yeah.
Lazy and dumb. If you want to point to something Jews have actually done, that's fine. I don't care. But not everything is a Jewish conspiracy, for fuck's sake. You can't talk bad about the Jews. Yeah, you can. You just can't lie about shit. How about that? I mean, if you want to, you can, but you'll get called for it.
Well, I mean, if everybody that said it was the Jews was actually on the radar of the grand Jewish conspiracy, wouldn't they be dead already?
You would think.
But yet people still can talk about it.
I just want to know how it is all these, well, let's be honest, these white people, it's largely them, are getting pushed around by a bunch of little Jews. What's wrong with you pussies? How are you getting pushed around by the Jews? How many Jews are in the United States?
Yeah, not a lot.
This will get me on a list. How many Jews are in the U.S.? 7 million. 7 million. What is that? 2% of the population?
I'd be shocked if it was more than that.
It says 7.5 million. So 2.4% of the population. And all you dumbass fucking honkies, the 60% of you that are honkies, can't get your shit together so you're not being ruled by 2%. Y'all kind of suck, man. I'm gonna start siding with the Jews.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, really.
They seem pretty on the ball if 2% of them can control literally fucking everything. Anyway, Jack, we are at the 2-hour mark. My throat is killing me, and we're gonna wrap this up. So my fat asking, I was gonna say go lay down, but that's not gonna happen. So I can stop talking. How about that?
Fair enough.
I should get some sleep, but I can't right now. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. I do want to reiterate, while I do have some questions about what Benny and Timmy might have known, I don't think there's any evidence that the creators pushed any Russian propaganda. Anybody saying that is just pushing bullshit propaganda. In fact, you're actually doing what the DOJ says Russia wanted to do. You're doing the Russians' dirty work.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't think Tim Pool's a shitbag. He's still a shitbag.
Yeah, but he's a shitbag for other reasons.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Roaming might be in some serious trouble. I think Lauren might be in some serious fucking trouble.
Yeah. It's looking like it, isn't it?
It really is. And we'll talk more about it off the air because I've already covered it on here. But guys, thanks for joining us. Thank you so much for the donations. You guys are so kind. Oh, thank you, Nuts. She says feel better. And to everybody who sent me well wishes, I did see them all, and I didn't respond or even heart most of them like I normally would. I appreciate it. I really, really do. You guys are way too nice to me. Jack, anything you want to show?
No, I can't change tabs, so I can't drop links. But thank you guys for the donations and all the support you give us and coming out and listening. Appreciate it. Thanks to Scribe for guest appearing.
Hang on a second. Keep talking.
You guys are all beautiful people, and you're the best audience on the internet. And we love you.
I don't know what video you would have shared, but here's the Bad Comment Review channel, guys. Go check it out, y'all. It's also in the description. All of our channels are. Thanks for coming and hanging out, Jack.
Always glad to be here.
And yes, thank you, Scribbles, for hanging out with me for a little while. Everybody, take care of yourselves. We love you, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye, everybody.
I'm sick and you fuckers are still gonna make me sing. What's wrong with you? Are you Russian bots? Give us money.